Chemicals Management Committee meeting as of December 22nd, 2020. We have all Management Committee members present, along with Board President Linda Longsanger and new General Manager Jeff Harper. Our old General Manager Randy Swetnam is off tonight with a family emergency. So let's jump right in. Jeff, do you want to lose through the agenda?
Sure. We do not have any invited guests tonight. So delinquencies, first of all, since we're in the second meeting of December, delinquency totals as of December 15th, we're at 25,644 on regular assessments. Last month was 24,420, so up slightly, up about $1,200. Road delinquencies is at 1,980 versus last month at $2,400, and there are no delinquencies on dam assessments. Capital, depreciation, and dam allocations and expenses. We've got the capital fund total sitting at $265,255. Depreciation fund total at $231,606. And the dam account total at $177,633, of which $76,074 is in the dam repair checking account, and $101,589 is in the special assessment account at Popular Bank.
Gotcha.
Roads accounts and expenses. Roads expense year to date is $110,903. The chip and seal account is sitting at $52,209, a balance of $52,209, and then total chip and seal expense year to date is $162,886.
Good. Basically, what that works is the chip and seal count or road assessment count, that 52 grand, we're carrying that forward to use in 2021 road repairs and maintenance.
Okay, and we were just over $5,000 more spent than collected on chip and seal this year. So the rest of that must have been carryover from the previous year. And then the reserve fund accounts, is this usually done just lump sum, or is it account by account?
Typically, I would go through just the lump sum. I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay.
In total, we just usually report to the community, like we're total 135 of 62, still behind in funding.
But significantly better from where we started, from what I understand.
Yeah, we were at 260 some at some point in time before the assessment increase passed. So, or before we made the significant budget changes. And I think it's important to note, though, that for December, we did fund amenities and depreciation, but at the same time, we didn't make any progress and we didn't fund capital so far. So security's calling me for some reason.
Make sure I didn't get a call from them.
What? Yeah. Usually they'll call you and they'll call me second, but anyway.
I'm gonna make sure I didn't get a call.
Yeah, maybe a package. Typically that's just what we report, the total. We're trying to monitor that total and bring it down. So,
okay.
All right.
Sorry. Nope, no calls from security for me. So
probably package.
And then speaking of packages, last week up through Sunday, we had 989 packages received. So it didn't quite hit that 1,000 package mark. We do have, we're awfully close. We do have one volunteer that's helping out 2 hours a day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's been a big help. Apparently she's got some good package handling experience. So that really has been a big boon for this holiday season. Any questions, comments, or concerns about anything so far?
No, I assume the package is, they'll tail down next week. And then at some point, then we have to figure out how to move that Conex box. And so I think you ought to talk to Rick and find out like where he wants to put it and where he can best use it.
Okay.
I think your packages will probably fall back off. You might have it for a couple more weeks, but I think January will fall back off to the 400 to 500 range. So we could probably look at getting that moved.
Okay.
We may have to pay someone to come in and move it, though. I don't know if we can lift it.
Okay, just treat it as a roll off.
Probably. I don't know how it was actually delivered.
Okay.
I know it's probably heavier than what our backhoes can lift safely.
Okay, got it. And yeah, the big discussion so far has been using it to store some of the smaller golf course maintenance equipment. Mm-hmm. So, and needless to say, none of that is inexpensive. So I think that would be worthwhile to keep it out of the elements.
Yeah. Yeah. And also keep in mind when you're moving that there was an amenities amount for golf course approved to basically add on to that existing building. So when you're placing it, have Rick think about where that building's going to go and then where to place that. So
okay. We'll get with, was it Marty that was working on that? Oh no, I'm sorry. It was Tim Weibel from the board. We'll get with him to make sure we get an area straight out.
Eric Boysko.
Boysko. I know. I looked
around the building.
I looked around there and saw where they were going to put it, just to kind of give it a once over.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to hide that container the best we can, even if we've got to paint it the same color as the buildings to kind of blend it in a little and camouflage it with trees. But
agreed.
Ideally, we'd place it in front of the fairway. That way, the golf ball at the new building. It's not the most aesthetic thing in the world.
Which hole do you slice the worst on, Jim?
I've come close to that building a few times. So you move it out, I probably will hit it.
I think it's easier just to keep the ball on the fairway. Fairway mower quotes we talked about last meeting. I'd like to suggest that we table that. We have made no additional progress there other than getting a couple of preliminary quotes through Avendra, none of which are formal until we actually sign an agreement with them to be covered later in the meeting. So I'd like to suggest that we table that until the next meeting when we can get some formal quotes from them.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah. Anybody opposed to that? It's I've seen the preliminary numbers on just what we can save on these fairway mower, and it's pretty exciting that we can save this much money. I think it'll even make Steve smile. Can't hear you, Steve. Steve, we can't hear you yet.
Oh, you're on mute, Steve.
By choice.
All right. So yeah, we'll table that and hopefully we can talk about that. That way we can, that will have to go to the board for approval. So if we could take that in January, if we're signed up for a vendor by then.
Okay. Very good. And the new gutters for back of the lodge, Randy was still waiting on one quote. I believe the two others were discussed at the last meeting. He, as of Thursday of last week, he'd not heard back from the individual that he was waiting to hear back from. Somebody had been out sick at that company. So they were still owing us a quote. So I guess I'm going to suggest that we table that one as well. We'll be able to cover in January.
Yeah, and I think the other thing was to make sure that the quotes are apples to apples, same size
right.
gutters, type issue.
And then come January, we'll get a roofing company out to take a look at the roof, as was suggested at the last meeting as well.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right, on discussion items, no further progress that I'm aware of on the Wi-Fi in the lounge and dining room, unless someone else has progress on that.
We can talk about that. Did you skipped over the tires for the security truck? Did Randy order some tires or?
No, we were waiting on, as you and I talked about, we were waiting on Avendra for that, and I'd actually taken that out of the final minutes that the final agenda that we posted. Just as we will talk about that next month, if you're okay with that.
Yep. I would keep in mind that that truck's just used for backup for security, and I think you'll probably be driving around more than they will. So I don't know if that factors into what kind of tires we get. You know, to try to get the longest wearing tire we can that still is reasonable traction.
Get up a hill. You can test my driveway if you need.
What's that?
You can test my driveway for durability to get up a hill.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Get up JJ's driveway, you get up anything.
I checked with them last week in security about something you mentioned, Jim. I thought I was in conversation or that last meeting. They have never tried to run a set of chains, but they thought that would definitely be possibly an option for them when the weather was bad, easy enough to put out an office pickup truck. But then maybe getting a higher mileage harder to retire.
They've never used chains before?
No, they've always had a snow mud tire on their trucks, which gets them around. But the tires also are chip seal roads, wearing them out incredibly fast.
Right.
So the thought was, if they could slap chains on there pretty easily, even on the rear tires, that might allow us to run a harder compound all-terrain tire, and then they just have to put chains on when we got snow.
Okay.
Snow. So it's just a thought if it would save us wearing through these tires so fast.
Okay.
But,
Yeah, the chains were, I'm sorry, Steve, go ahead.
I said, I think they're open to trying it that way. Enough weather forecasting ahead, they could put chains on if any new system is coming in. And, that's a truck not used every time, so they may be able to send them on for that. I think it would maybe help us like Jim says, from having to buy 4 or 5 sets of tires in your first truck.
But I'll tell you what, if that black backup truck, since I'll be utilizing that more for driving around property, we can get chains for that. I'm happy to test it out. The tires on the silver truck that they use more often are in pretty decent shape right now. So
yeah, we just got those a couple months ago.
that would be why. Okay.
It might be worth it trying to get an all-terrain tire for the black backup truck that you're going to probably be using more, and then we can try chains out when we get some snowy, icy conditions. See how
okay. Yeah, I want to be able to make it up JJ's driveway 365 days a year if I need to.
There you go.
We've all slid down some of these times. It's comical now, but at the time it's not when you're going backwards down a hill.
I'm sure.
Yeah. On the Wi-Fi lodge proposal, so the last email from Kurt at Easy IT was he was basically offering to donate. Trying to find his last email. He was basically offering to donate the labor to the club for us to purchase the equipment. Trying to find through that. Yeah, he'll donate the labor to get the hardware set up. So what we're looking at to basically increase our basically get our Wi-Fi up to some type of standard at the lodge, which I think is important since we do use it for broadcasting meetings. It looked like it was looked like $300 for a router and $180 for 2 access points. So we're probably at $700 to upgrade this and basically getting the labor for free. So I think it's in our court right now to decide if we want to do this.
Are we purchasing their router, or is this a router that was recommended by the individual who's going to help us?
I believe Kurt would recommend. Didn't really recommend. He just kind of gave some pricing, but I think he would recommend the right equipment to get us kind of up to speed.
It's going to allow us to disconnect from their service and save us that $50 a month charge. So
yep.
We talked about the last meeting. It's going to be a wash in the first year.
Yeah.
There is a wash. There's a up the plan, but you save some money on paying Spectrum for their old outdated equipment. So, I mean, I would like to give him the go ahead to start doing, or Jeff, you to give him the go ahead to do this, and we'll get the equipment ordered. it'll get time to get it installed. It'll be about the time we reopen the lodge, but so I envision start using handheld devices for ordering, and it just makes people not very good cell signal in there, so people would actually have a decent Wi-Fi to connect to. So,
and it is bad now. So
yeah, and we do use that for we use those Wi-Fi's for streaming meetings. Surprised they even run. But what's your guys' thoughts?
I'm ready to make a motion, but do you have a
Marty's going to Steve.
total dollar?
I think the total dollars for the equipment will be under $800.
Okay.
do we have a formal quote?
No, he gave us a quote. He gave us pretty long, and it's just the day you started. I can forward the email to you.
Okay.
Basically, he quoted a router firewall for he said about $300. Access points are $179. We'll need 2, and he'll donate the labor. So we would just buy the stuff from Easy IT as a member, and then he would donate getting it installed.
Okay.
So so why don't we just go ahead and authorize him to spend up to $800?
Jeff, I'll re-forward this to you so you can read it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think we could authorize you to contact Kurt and spend up to $800 in equipment to get this done. I think he's just waiting on our go ahead.
Okay.
Marty, if that's a motion, I'll second it.
That is a motion. Thank you.
I'm good.
I'm good. So Jeff, let me know if you get that. It should just come through. Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay. If you want to reach out to Kurt, then we'll get that process moving.
Okay. I will do that.
Right. And then we can look at the Clubhouse Wi-Fi, which I think is worse. We've
Oh,
got
is it really?
great internet
Okay.
and spectrum ran to those places. We've just never upgraded the Wi-Fi's at either location. So,
Well, why can't we see? Can we see if he could just include it in there? Is it just an incremental cost on something like that? Because it's a smaller area, right?
yeah, I'd probably have to buy another firewall router, but
Yeah, you'd have to put a separate router in there because the distance is too far.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I know. Obviously, you're not going to get the signal from the lodge all the way down there, but
it wouldn't hurt to ask him, Kurt or Jeff, about if we get this done, what does it look like to upgrade the Clubhouse also, so that we could have Wi-Fi out at the shelter house.
Look at security and maintenance too, because I know in the past we've had cameras there and not always function well because of the internet service. So, when we had our break-ins, we talked about it. Might be a functional thing.
Let them look at it.
yeah.
Right?
Doesn't hurt.
Let them look at it.
We're going to upgrade all the internet as soon as they get here and get it done. So it's going to open up possibilities for us if we can improve some security in those areas.
We do want to make sure he's doing a favor by donating the labor, so we don't want to get
Greedy.
we don't want to get greedy. Yeah.
And frankly, even if we pay for a little bit of the labor, we'll still end up better off.
Yep. I agree.
Good point. Where you're welcome, right?
Yeah, we're all volunteering our time, right?
Yeah.
I'll hold the ladder for us.
All right, Jeff, you want to talk about lodge updates?
Lodge updates, we are currently open Fridays and Saturdays only, with the intent to remain as such at least until first to mid part of March. I'd like to start recruiting for an executive chef first and start that mid to late January with the hopes of getting somebody in by the second week of March, and then reopening full, whether that means dinner 5 days a week, dinner 7 days a week, whatever we kind of roll into, but operate with a full menu, full staff, starting, let's just call it the Ides of April. How's that? Because I don't know what date Easter is.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So if we look at April 15th as a target date for a fully costed out menu plan in place, and then do a grand reopening, as it were, still socially distanced at that point, I'm sure. But I think that will serve us well getting into the warmer months, and I'm hoping April is a warmer month in Ohio.
It's hit or miss. It can snow one day, it's 80 the next.
Okay, got it.
I will, I'm encouraged by the new vaccine from Derek rolling out, and this morning on the news they were saying, most people will see it late spring. Everyone should have a chance to get a vaccine by late spring, early summer. So we could be getting on the tail end of hopefully this COVID, and be able to open up with a significant number of a lot more people inside if we get past this. But
yeah,
will give us a little bit of soft opening in April.
And then my anticipation would be or what I'm targeting is in the budget to actually budget a ramp up starting May 1st, just to give a little bit of time for the roll in, and have some buffer in there for any other slowdowns, government mandates, anything like that might be an issue, or even difficulty in hiring an executive chef.
Yeah.
Jeff, are they looking at this? Are they looking at this Friday and Saturday also, Christmas night and the 26th?
Saturday, yes. Christmas Day, we will be closed. Jeannie really wants to open on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So, I'm sorry, New Year's Eve's Thursday. We'll have the clubhouse open New Year's Eve, and Jeannie will be down there. But we will be open New Year's Day and then the Saturday as well. Just figuring there's a little bit more activity those days.
Yeah, with New Year's Day, did the governor allow people to stay out longer for the Ohio State game?
Not so far.
He did it the one time, right?
I'm not sure about previously, but from what I saw just online, it was still 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Okay.
What time's the Sugar Bowl start?
8.
That's going to make it tough.
Yeah,
Will they extend it to that or to bars and that kind of thing as well? I don't know.
They only made an exception for the people that were going to the Browns game last week. So even all the bars and restaurants in Cleveland still had to go by the 10 o'clock curfew, and they were not happy about that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
All right. We'll see.
If you haven't figured out, Jeff, Ohio State football is really big around here.
Oh, I know.
Having the clubhouse having some event would be great. Yeah.
Business has been, we've come close to $1,000 one night, been closer to the $600 to $700 range per night the last couple of weekends, which is not horrible for only doing pizzas and subs, with the subs selling at about $5 a piece. We did start with, I'm going to call it online ordering, but Jeannie's basically monitoring for Facebook messages. We got that posted out on Facebook in case somebody wants to pre-order. We did have a handful of those on one of the 2 days. I want to say it was Friday this past weekend. And then I'm working on getting a menu uploaded so that we can have an actual menu sitting there instead of just having to type in what our menu is. And from there, people should just be able to click a button to send a Facebook message to us.
Is it like $600 or $700? Is that covering our costs?
I'm not sure of yet. Given utilities and everything else, although what's the variance in utilities in the wintertime in a building like that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Other than running the pizza oven, there's a big variance in utilities, open or closed.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that it's keeping people happy for the most part. The pizza's very good. It's coming out pretty quick. The subs, Jim, how was your sub the other night?
It was really good. They got it out quick, and I can't complain. If we can cover food and alcohol, I can cover food costs and payroll, and I think we're doing pretty good. And like you said, most of the utilities are fixed, but we definitely want to try to keep breaking even on this.
So Marty, in answer to your question, we are definitely covering food cost and payroll at this point in the lodge.
Yeah, that's the big concern, right? Are we covering those expenses?
Yeah.
You know, the utility costs in that are, you know, just part of having the lodge. So.
Yes. Yep. And I think the offices is even rolled in with that electricity and gas, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they try to segregate. You know, this part goes to the great room, this part goes to the lodge, this part goes to the dining area, and they just kind of all bunched it into the lodge. But
yeah.
So it's hard for it to say that amount of business is going to cover all the utilities, but
yeah, someday.
I hope so. Yeah.
We'll be starting to work on costing out a full menu or full anticipated menu over the next month or so. In the meantime, we'll be rolling in some salads in January. Probably just with grilled chicken as an option for a protein added, or just the salad by itself. I'm looking at doing maybe 3 different salads. And then once we hit the end of January, we'll take a look at how the current team is doing and see if we're ready to fire up some fryers to do maybe some chicken wings and that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Okay. Questions on the lodge? Okay.
Did you have any more time to look at that flooring? You had thought that just some repairs instead of having to replace the floor might be possible?
Yes, after quite a bit of guessing, we figured out where the leak to the basement area is coming from, and because it landed right on Penny's desk. That was from running the dishwasher, and not from any kind of a leak with the dishwasher, but just as I suspected, the area between, well, the flooring, because it doesn't have any real cove on it. It's got that rubberized cove base that doesn't really stop much of anything. Water got under there just from the dishwasher because it splashes and whatnot, right? And you're pulling wet dishes out of there. And that's what actually leaked down. Rick traced it for me. So they've put some silicone in there for the short term, but I truly think the answer is going to be that cove molding, ceramic tile on the corner, and then go 1 or 2 tiles up. I want to say it's 4-inch, maybe 5-inch tile. So go 8 to 10 inches up the wall, and I think you'll solve the bulk of the problem. Other than that, we've repaired the VCT, the vinyl composition tile in the pizza room, replaced it. There was maybe 8 pieces that needed to be replaced was all. And then we've pulled that linoleum flooring out of the walk-in as of this week because that was causing some problems in and of itself. It was trapping water underneath. So in the walk-in cooler, we're going to go with just concrete flooring. It's easier to clean, easier to keep up, and there's nothing that'll get trapped underneath it. So then a good degreaser once a week will take care of anything that gets through the nooks and crannies there.
Yeah, so when we're paying for that, we have amenities funds that can be used. The board approved to roll over for any of it, basically do that flooring, whatever flooring repairs we have to do.
So the is that the 18,000?
Yeah.
18,500. Okay. So do we need to request for that to be rolled over, or is it being rolled over?
No, it's already been done. The board already had requested that. It was already approved.
Okay.
That was to basically replace the flooring or basically fix it so it's not, we don't get dinged on the health department anymore.
Okay.
That's what we keep getting. We've had these leaks and we keep getting dinged on the health department. So that's what that was earmarked for.
Yeah. Well, and part of that I think was the grout. Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
No,
was that the grout in the kitchen, on the kitchen floor? I bought some grout saws, and one up and one back, as far as just one stroke up, one stroke back, and they're coming clean. You're getting down to the bare grout. So a lot of that buildup over the years you know, whatever, for whatever reason was still there, but it's easy enough to get done. And Jim, you may have seen the email that I sent to Jeannie saying, let's get the kids on it and move forward with that. And then I will probably need to spend $300 to $400 on grout sealer. But with that and some cove molding and a couple tiles going up the wall, I think we're going to be a heck of a lot less than 18,500.
Yeah, and we can always return money back to the amenities, but yeah, let's get this done right and finally have a good floor in there.
Okay, very good. My pleasure. And actually, I had not planned on bringing this up because I hadn't thought about it. Can I ask what, as far as the amenities funds for the lodge renovation, if you will, the $5,500, do we have something specific that we are required to spend that on? Because my thought would be for sound reduction. Get some duck board or techum, I think is what somebody else called it, to reduce the sound.
We can spend it on any type of renovation in the lodge dining area. So that would be permissible. Basically, I presented it as, you know, we wanted $40,000 as a start to do some renovations, including sound. Obviously, there wasn't enough money. We got $5,400. You know, anything we can do to enhance the, I think, based on my presentation, I think we can do to enhance the usability of that space for its purpose, I think is fine.
Okay. I will start getting, first part of January, start getting quotes on the duck board of the Techum, and see what we can get for somewhere under $5,400.
Yeah. I mean, we could also, I wouldn't mind considering maybe see what we can do with that, and you know, be nice to look at the lighting. I don't know if we could do lighting for $5,400, but just something a little softer than those wagon wheels.
Okay.
I might get shot for that.
I have a quick question. Did we tell folks in the amenities meeting that we would use the funding for drawings, blueprints?
I made that note that, you know, any amount we get, we could use for drawings and blueprints, but it was always presented as lodge renovations. I thought that was what it was voted on, as lodge renovations.
So want to have any unrealized expectations out there. That's all.
Yeah, but I guess in essence, right, you basically have $23,000 or something, give or take, for the lodge this year, right? 18 from last year, and
you have to use the 18.5. You have to use the 18.5 on the floor.
Oh, you do?
In the kitchen. Now we can go back to the board and say, hey, we didn't spend 18.5. Can we use some of that there? And the board can change that.
Okay.
There's precedent to do that. So we can go back to the board and say, hey, we didn't use it here. We want to use it out here to do some lighting, you know, lighting upgrades, and they can't approve that. But
all right, thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, I presented the initial $40,000 as, you know, a start to do some renovations. It just basically got whittled down, and I had to leave before it was done to run this meeting. But yeah. Well, you can't.
I met Tom Matthews in the lodge the other day, but he said you did a pretty good job of presenting it. So.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, you cannot take the 18.5. You have to use it on the lodge, the kitchen floor. Now, however you got to use that floor. If you want to bring it out and do lighting, then I think it just requires a board vote to change that allocation.
Okay. And then I'd talk to Jim about, but I'd like to also propose that we think about using part of it for, it's still in the kitchen, but right now you've got 60 or 58 inches width worth of griddle flat top. And I would propose that you really need a flame char griller in there. So kind of splitting the difference, you could sell the griddle for probably a decent amount of money, or trade it in. But I do think you need to have kind of split that space between open flame char griller and flat top.
What do you think we could get? Well, we'd have to see what the pricing, you know, let's see what the price difference is. If we got a char griller and sold or traded that in.
Yeah, well, and we'll get, best pricing, honestly, will probably be through something called Supplies on the Fly, which is yet another company that Cisco owns. Is usually where I've seen the best pricing and best trade-in values, but I think we wait, if we do this vendor thing, then we get pricing through them and see what they can offer.
Okay.
All right, Bora Hill mailboxes. Anybody want to talk about that?
Yeah, so Rick and I went and looked at it. The ideal thing is to try to relocate those, and that's where I was asking you about the properties, Jeff, because there's a flat area about a quarter mile down the road that look pretty good, but they're not club-owned lots that are behind it, right? And so that's going to be an issue because you're gonna block access to their properties, I think. And I haven't looked. You gave me the numbers. I haven't gone back to the map just to kind of see how that plays out.
Okay.
The other part, because it is, it's a pretty steep slope getting up to those mailboxes. I mean, we can make it work up there by flattening that out and, possibly moving the mailboxes back a little bit more towards the gate. We've got a little bit of room we could go back that way, but not a whole lot because Rick still uses that. They just back a truck back in there when they're working on the gate, and that's kind of how they have the access. But we can put something, like a lean-to over the top of it to shield it from the rain coming down. So there are some options.
Solve the slope issue, does it?
No, you'd still have to regrade the approach to it, right? There's 4 bollards in there that are actually just look like they're from guardrails, right? Just a piece of wood that's stuck in there. So you have to pull those out, regrade it a little bit to flatten that out. Where it's at, you're never going to get it flat, right? Unless you filled up a whole bunch of it, and then you'd have to put a wall on the back side, and it can be done. It's just time and money solve most everything, right? So,
what's it going to cost to do a shelter over it and just a regrade to make it a little safer?
I don't know. I've got to put a number together on that. I think the ideal thing would be nice to try to relocate it to this other area because it's a lot safer. It's wide open. You can see what's coming. It's flat. So the mail carrier's got a nice flat approach. The residents have a nice flat approach coming in and out. But I think there will be issues with just because of the lots that are there.
And it's not our lot.
No.
Okay. That's probably not going to work.
And I don't think we've got anything close to that. I mapped out all of our open lots today. There was nothing close to that area.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was kind of looking for that.
Not that I saw. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that they revised the club lot listing, so that list is a lot shorter than what it really is, I think.
Are those lots buildable? I mean, Randy always had this list of buildable lots. Are there actual buildable lots in that area, or not?
I don't remember, Steve.
I'm just thinking, if they're unbuildable, we could talk to the owner and ask. I mean, the worst thing to do is they say no. We want to leave it open so we can sell them someday.
Yeah, and that's a good idea. I was thinking that myself, but just to go take another look to see if they've been buildable or not, and then go down that path.
I don't know if you can get a permanent easement to put it out toward the road. I don't know if they're never going to build on it. They may, grant a permanent easement.
Well, there's already a turnout on the road right there, and that area is probably big enough to put the mailboxes in itself. But then the question comes in now: what if somebody wants to build on that lot? And the driveway, or if I remember the map right, it's kind of like a piece of pie shaped lot, right? Or more like a trapezoid, right? But so that area, the driveway's going to have to come in probably that area if they want to, put it in over there. Unless, and again, I don't remember if they own the lot next to it and if they're joined together, and there's a lot of ifs in there. So,
All right.
I'm still looking at it. I'm still working on it. Is the bottom line. It's just, they hadn't had a whole lot of time to devote to it this week.
Understood. All right. Sounds good. Jeff, load limits. I saw we did have a member request on Nuka to put load limits.
Right.
Basically, they wanted to bring in cement trucks and heavy equipment during our low limit time.
Right. He his case was, and did that email get forwarded to everybody?
I don't
No?
remember seeing it.
Okay, so I'm gonna bounce away from this screen for a minute and read the request.
Gotcha.
And this is from William Shepard on lot 369. Dear board members, unfortunately, I'm not able to attend this meeting due to a prior commitment, and he was talking about the upcoming board meeting, but wanted to send a letter to present my case. This year, I've been going through the very long process of making preparations to build what will become my permanent home in Hideaway Hills. It was my intention to start this past summer. However, with the unprecedented COVID events and the passing of my father, we're behind schedule, and my builder plans to break ground the first week in January. If we start in January, it would mean that many of my materials and building supply deliveries would happen throughout February and April, while load limits are lower. This will make deliveries impossible and would mean that my builder cannot start until May. Delaying my build would come in at an additional cost of approximately $20,000 and would mean that I would have to move my already displaced family in the middle of the school year. This is a financial burden I simply cannot saddle, and it's for this reason I respectfully ask for some considerations regarding the load limits. I use the roads the same as the rest of our members. I understand the need to protect this resource. Please be aware that we will take all reasonable precautions to ensure that we do not cause damage to the roads if we are allowed to proceed. I'm aware load limits are in place to protect the fragile roads during thawing events, as spring thaw causes the ground to soften, and roads can shift as the result. We can make every attempt to receive these materials while the ground is frozen or after the ground has had sufficient time to dry. It would never be our intention to receive materials under wet or thawing conditions. Some deliveries we may be able to receive at the maintenance area or the temporary parking area at the front gate, and then take to my lot via pickup truck. But with deliveries like gravel, concrete, trusses, shingles, etc., this would not be possible. In these circumstances, deliveries could be made with trucks that are equipped with drop axles. A drop axle can be lowered to reduce the load each individual axle places on the road. This spreads out the load over a larger surface and significantly reduces the impact to the road surface. It's my hope that we can come to an agreement that satisfies the board, maintains the integrity of our roads, and prevents me from an extremely costly delay as I build my dream home. Respectfully, William Shepard, lot 369.
So Rex, I'm gonna look to you. Obviously the road limits are in place because we don't have a lot of base, and that time of year they tend to be go from frozen to soft pretty quickly, and flex quite a bit when you run a heavy vehicle on them.
Sure.
I'm good. What's your thoughts?
I'd probably defer to Rick on that. He knows the base better than I do. We're running the trash truck up through there, and that thing is only, I think, a single axle, and it's on that main Hideaway Hills road. Nuka's in pretty good condition, but I'm not sure exactly where 369 is. I'd like to talk to Rick and get his opinion before we say anything.
Yeah, I mean,
But I also don't want to open up a bunch of, I don't want to open a precedent and have somebody try this on a road that's not as in good shape. So that's kind of where I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, we put these in place, I mean, obviously for that reason to protect our roads, and especially small trucks and heavy trucks are a danger in it. But I understand this member's situation too. But maybe Jeff, you and Rex talk to Rick and get his thoughts whether or not it can be done without damaging our roads.
Sure.
Once you alligator the road out from too heavy a trucks on it, it's brutal.
Can we ask for like a $10,000 bond? He says it's going to cost him $20,000 more. So I mean, the cost of a bond, is the $10,000 going to be enough if there's any damage? That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know.
And are we able to do something like that?
I don't know we've ever done that. I mean, Randy's made some exceptions for deliveries and one-time deliveries. I don't have a sense of how many trucks he's planning on bringing in. I mean, one cement truck might not be all that bad if you brought it in on a day where the ground was either frozen or fairly dry. But you get a couple wet days and a thaw, it can tear our roads up pretty bad. So.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a road. It's almost one lane in places, and I don't know, over the years it's really had probably attention a lot of the other things. Like you said, Hideaway Hills Lane, with the motor feeding and the base on there with all the trucks running up and down, right? It's not nuclear to where we used to have. That's how much the road.
Yeah, so this
I
369.
think Highway Hills Lane would be fine with the motor pay because it put it down a pretty serious base. But Marty,
I was just
going to look at Nootka.
Yeah, I'll go ahead, Rex.
No, I just said I'd have to go look at Nootka again. I haven't looked at it that way. And again, like I say, Rick knows that base better than anybody. He's gonna have a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might want to check the rules, load limits. It's number 25.
it does say though the general manager can.
It does.
Provide relief to that.
And it does have penalty for violation is $500 fine to the member. Doesn't say anything about taking out a bond.
No, I know in the past Randy has made, based on a recommendation or Rick's recommendation, they allow people to bring stuff in, but I don't know if we've ever allowed something this much. To
this extent, yes.
Yeah, I mean, we'll let these occasionally let delivery trucks in and something like that if it was necessary. But I mean, there is a time in the past we have listed the load limits early based on the ground conditions too. But we set them in November, February, and then Jim McAdam made a determination, hey, by 1st April it was hard enough not to worry about it, and we lifted them, but. They're there for protection of our roads. Okay, so we'll wait to hear back from Rex and Jeff on that after they talk to Rick, and then we can decide if we want to make a recommendation to you, Jeff. But ultimately, it's for the rules, it's your decision.
Okay, very good. And then the pay. I'm sorry.
I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Okay, great. Is it Pagan? Is that how that's pronounced?
Pagan.
Pagan. Okay. All I've got on that is that Rick's had to go out there 3 different times now because of the receivers having trouble. So really just to bring everybody up to speed that we may be needing a new receiver for that pretty soon if that keeps happening. Basically the gate's opening and then it won't close. He gets over there and does what he needs to do with the receiver and it's closing, but it's not happening every single time like it should. So
is that a roller gate? I can't remember. or a swing gate?
I want to say it's a roller gate.
Gotcha. I know it hasn't been there that long. I think probably 3 or 4 years ago we put that in.
Okay.
Try to keep people off this. That's one of the outlet. It's off the main. It's on actually off the county road. But we've had people driving up in there, and members requested it that they needed some type of security too. So,
Okay.
So, okay, I know where that one is.
Yeah, if you come out the front gate and take a left,
Yeah.
past where you'd enter the shooting range and keep going, it's up on the left.
So that thing's only 3 or 4 years old?
It hasn't been. I was on the management committee when we approved putting it in, so it hasn't been there terribly long.
All right.
All right, and then we get down to what we've all been waiting for, Avendra. For folks that have not heard, it's a group purchasing organization started in the hospitality industry by big companies, Marriott, Hilton, Radisson, and some other hotel companies. Main competition is Integra, but Integra is less involved in the hospitality side of things, much more in the facilities management side. Avendra, I've personally used them before in several different hotels, certainly when I was with Marriott. They provide, in most cases, a significant discount in pricing on everything from food, limited amounts of spirits and beer. I'm sorry, spirits and wine. We saw a potential 30 to 40% discount on Fairway Mower and some preliminary quotes that we got from them, from quotes that we'd seen and spoken about at the last meeting. And then even office supplies, agronomy supplies, and so on and so forth. There is no cost to participate. They make their money actually from the purveyors. So I'd like to ask permission to go ahead and sign an agreement, which I believe we forwarded to everybody late last week, if not early this week. An agreement, permission to go ahead and sign up for the 2-year agreement with Avendra.
Jeff, I only had one question with it. With the 80% requirement, has that ever been an issue when you were using them?
Never. We were actually required to participate at a 95% level, just as a brand standard. So we never had trouble even hitting 95%. But as Stephen, the rep, was telling us, I mean, they can put a note in there that all that really means is if they decide to make a deal of it, which they don't. But if they decide to make a big deal about it at some point in the future, all that would happen is they'd give us a warning and then drop us from the program. There's no financial penalty.
So it's no real penalty to us. It's just they'll drop us from the program.
Right. Other than your prices would go back up to an independent facility.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, the real upside
How do they
is
monitor? Did we ever get anything on that? I asked the question, but we never really. How will they know if we're spending 80%?
They reserve the right to look at everything that all of our outlays and within the different programs that they offer. I've never had them do it. He's saying they don't really do it. It's really based on an honor system, which is why they don't truly enforce the 80%. It's really more of a here's what we want to see. I mean, there's huge incentives to participate at that level because you're saving so much money across the board versus going outside of the program. Does that answer the question, Steve? I didn't actually hear the very first part of it.
No, I just question how they do monitor that and how much of our books are open. And I didn't see any verbatim where we have to provide. I asked when we had the meeting with them, and he never really said no. He really said yes either. So.
Yeah. Yeah, there's one blurb in the agreement about providing purchasing records, but that's about it. Like I said, I've never had them ask for it, and probably 4 or 5 years of my career that I've worked with them.
It says in the service agreement, upon request, customer agrees to make available accounts payable data. I mean, I don't see them. There's really not an incentive to kick you off unless you're not participating at all.
Is there anything listed as a penalty or anything?
No.
there's
It's-
there's absolutely like no downside to this thing. I mean, I really
No,
don't
there's
see
really
any.
no risk to the club and no downside
Yeah.
to do this. And, you know, based on some of the pricing Jeff's looking at it, food, I'm hoping they bring the same kind of savings we saw for the fairway mower.
Yeah. I mean, even if we got dropped from the program after we saved money on a mower, right?
No, I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, you could save $20K on a mower.
I just hate to see us have a, oh crap moment, you know, a year or two down the road, but no,
Oh,
what
definitely,
we've seen
yeah.
in their presentation is, it was very good, and what we've seen on pricing was, yeah, I mean, our first shot out of the gate's gonna help our community financially.
Yeah. Well, and on the agronomy chemicals, I think I just forwarded those to Steve, as that's his area of expertise, or one of his areas of expertise. You were looking at a $2,000 to $3,000 savings, if I'm not mistaken, on about 14 grand was our initial quote outside of that program. And that's without formal quotes yet, but that's him asking vendors to give us pricing, and even prior to the different rebates that exist and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
They're also allow us not to have to put a big cash layout once a year at the end of the year and prepay for everything we may or may not even need to come in here. But to that flexibility also, you know, to put into savings, you know, by not having inventory things. I mean, if they get 2 or 3 weeks to hit a, you know, disease issue on the golf course, and I understand they want to make sure it's there, and that's very understandable. We can release that burden by having this thing available to us to buy and ship to us at that pricing range. If we're not inventorying it.
The thing is, too, if we did buy something outside of the program, it'd probably be cheaper, and we could show them that if they ever came and asked.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and frankly, for significant purchases, we're going to be getting 3 quotes anyway. We can get 3 quotes from them, even one outside of them, and show the savings in most cases, I think.
So I guess, Jeff, just a quick question. I don't know if you looked at it, but how many vendors would we end up having to change?
Not many, but it really depends on who's got the cheapest pricing. So let's talk about the Agronomy Chemicals for a quick minute. I don't remember the name of the company we were getting the quotes as an independent operator on, but to Steve's point, they were needing us to make a bulk purchase, and then us hold the chemicals and all the risk. And if for some reason this next season didn't require us to use all those chemicals, then you've got them sitting around in the warehouse. Do they expire? Do they not expire? Are they still going to be any good that following season or not? We have the option of looking at different vendors outside of that, and they had Helena as one who I'm familiar with, and I don't remember the names of the other 2 that he was talking about. So, in that case, there's not a requirement for us to actually change. The one semi-change that would need to be made is for food. We'd go through GFS 100%, or 95%, and maybe get produce locally, as it's hard to get that from the big purveyors. Whereas right now we're using GFS for some things, US Foods for some things, and then they've used Cisco for some other things. So there's really not a whole lot of change there.
Okay.
Ecolab, who we use for chemicals, is still used for like kitchen chemicals, is still somebody they use. Office Depot is one of their accounts. They tend to have multiple vendors, with the exception of food. They tend to have multiple vendors for several different things. And they're now, I didn't realize this until he was presenting, they're actually owned by Aramark, who owns, when I worked for them, they owned 19 different companies, one of which is Gall's, which we get some of our security supplies from. So we start to see immediate discounts there too.
Nice.
I think this,
we need a motion.
Yeah, we need a motion to accept this. Linda, just you're okay with the board standpoint? I mean, there's no risk to the club and no financial outlay, so I think we can do this. Linda.
I don't see it as a problem.
Yeah. So, yeah, if we need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
All right, I'll second it.
Is anybody oppose this? Everyone good?
Good.
Good.
Good. Let's get it done.
Thanks,
Okay.
Jeff.
Let's get
Thank
it
you.
started over.
And I will go ahead and be the signature on this. Is that right?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can go ahead and execute it as general manager.
Okay.
And then we can start getting quotes on the fairway mowers.
Yeah. Then we will formalize them. And then Eric Boysko sent me an email. He's planning on removing some trees that are already down just by natural causes from the path to Lake Ski. He said he talked to the one property owner that's close to that, and he's going to stay away from her side. Anything that we need to do other than just say, okay, go for it. We appreciate the volunteer work. Any other steps that need to be taken?
Just for back reference, we had looked at this. I remember I had looked at this a couple of years ago from the standpoint, and they ended up moving out. It was Pat, can't remember what exactly it was, but it's not that hard to clean it. There's basically an old ski thing that comes down off the tennis court and goes down to a lake down there, and it's kind of a nice little walk down there. But the problem is the path's overgrown, but there's a few trees over it. That's not the big deal. Other than it had washed away in the middle of it, like a pretty good culvert to get over. And what we told the member before was, look, maintenance doesn't have time to add, additional, they're going to have to figure out how to get a culvert over that, get it dug out. I don't know if maintenance can do that, but then, long term, I wouldn't expect our maintenance guys to have to mow that and kind of upkeep.
No.
So
Okay.
it's not a terrible steep angle, but it's not. It's a ski slope. It's got a little bit of rat to it. We just got to figure out how we're going to maintain it long term.
I went down there. Oh, sorry, Jim. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I took a hike down there Sunday, and it just needs to get cleaned up.
Is that culvert still like a washout still?
It's still kind of washed out there. I mean, we could just throw a couple of those trees over it and make a little, impromptu bridge, right? I mean, it's a hiking trail, right? You do that all the time.
And that's what he was talking about doing.
Yeah, and that's fine as long as it's safe.
Yeah, the other concern that I saw down there was that there's still 3 transformers hanging up on a pole, and they're pretty old, so they chances are that they probably have PCBs in it, the oil in there, right? So, and I believe that those are owned by South Central. Not sure, but I'm going to guess that they are. So maybe, Jeff, we need to contact them to see about getting that removed.
They're not actually anything, are they?
No, it's from where the base of the old tow rope was. There's still some stuff down there that, as we're cleaning out the trail, we can clean that out.
Yeah, it used to be an old hit and miss motor down there. I guess Randy said that at one point maintenance hauled it out and took it to recycling, but that was when they could still get up and down that trail. But,
yeah.
I don't have a problem with allowing members to do that. I think they'd be covered under our insurance doing the work as volunteers. I just want to make sure that we're not creating more area for maintenance to have to mow and take care of long term.
Okay.
I guess I would
volunteers.
Yeah, I would see it as the same as that trail that would cut in over at Area 54 this year. It's the same kind of a thing, right? We just go out there, we cut a trail, and then people can go enjoy it.
Yeah, I believe so. I don't see any blind spots. I mean, we had approved this before, and then the member, Patrick Foy, was kind of pushing it, and then they ended up moving to Florida. But we didn't have a problem with it before. It was just a matter of who's going to get the work done and maintain it. But you might be able to adopt the area or somebody to kind of maintain it long term.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Just get a committee that would be willing to help maintain it. Or maybe just get a group of volunteers every year, walk down it and weed whack and be done. So.
Okay.
All right. I don't know if we get a motion on that. I just let him know. Or anybody got a problem with or any issues or?
No.
Nope.
Okay.
All right. Very good.
All right.
And that
Anybody got
ends the
anything
agenda.
else for bring the meeting? Rex, you have one thing to talk about in the executive session. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. I think we can end the meeting here, the public meeting. Jeff, you want to kill the recording?
All right. I will stop the recording.